everybody, and welcome to another episode of Super Fast Income Podcast. Christian here, and today we have a very special guest who turned a personal quest into a thriving business. Jayne Evans, a certified pediatric sleep consultant and the CEO of Snoozyfest. Not only has Jayne mastered the art of helping children sleep through the night, but she is also empowering others in the field with her Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. Get ready to dive into a world of sleep solutions that are changing lives, one family at a time. Jayne, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this amazing adventure. So can you share a little bit about yourself and the work you do?
Sure. So again, my name's Jayne Havens. I live in Baltimore, Maryland with my husband and two young children. And I got into the world of sleep consulting because, well, I guess it happened when my son was born 11 years ago. He was a decent sleeper as a newborn, but as he grew to be a little bit older, around 3-4 months, his sleep sort of unraveled. He went from sleeping through the night to waking up every single hour. And as a brand new parent, I had no idea what was going on, and I was sort of freaking out. I took to the books, I took to the blogs, and I did a whole lot of research to figure out why he wasn't sleeping well anymore and what I could do to fix it. And so I implemented some sleep training, which is just teaching him how to fall asleep and back to sleep independently. And the entire experience was frankly pretty life-changing for me, for my husband, for my baby. We were all so much happier, and it was an incredible experience. And that sort of led me to helping friends. I had a lot of friends with young children at the time. So I was casually helping friends, and that sort of snowballed into helping friends of friends. People who I didn't even know were reaching out to me, asking me if I could help them get their baby to sleep better. And for years, it was just a hobby. It was something I did for fun. I didn't charge for it. I was good at it, and I enjoyed helping people. And fast forward a few years later, my daughter was born. She was a really difficult baby. She was colic. She had a milk soy protein intolerance. She cried all the time. She was a beautiful sleeper because I knew what I was doing, but every waking moment that she was awake, she was miserable. And I was not enjoying motherhood the same way that I did the first time around. So I was sort of itching to go back to work. I felt like I needed to go get a job. And I really wasn't in the position to head back into the office the way that I, worked before kids. My husband travels for work. Everybody had gotten really used to me staying home and being really present with the kids. So I decided to take this skill that I had and leverage it into a business. So I went online, I took a sleep consultant certification program. I literally Googled like how to become a sleep consultant and took an online course, got certified. And what was intended to be a little side hustle or a passion project really exploded and very quickly became a legitimate career for me. And after a couple of years of just supporting families, I actually decided to create my own certification program. I really felt like I could do it better. There were several courses out on the market, and they were all doing a fairly decent job to educate people on how to properly sleep train babies and toddlers, but they really weren't teaching their students entrepreneurship. They weren't teaching their students how to find clients, how to market themselves, how to position themselves as experts in the field. And this is something that I think came a little bit more naturally to me. I was raised by my dad is an entrepreneur. My brother's an entrepreneur. I was in sales before staying home with my kids. So I was really comfortable with the business side of sleep consulting. And that was something that I didn't take for granted. I knew that I had that edge. So when I decided to create my own program, I created a comprehensive and evidence-based course with regard to sleep, but it's really robust in the area of business building and entrepreneurship. And it's been really successful. We filled a gap, and now I literally sit at my kitchen table in my like hoodie and leggings and, top knot and run a successful business while caring for my kids. It's all pretty fun.
Take us a little bit back when you were a stay-at-home mom, searching for a new direction. What was going on in your head? Like, what kind of conversation you were having with yourself?
So, a couple of things. One, I think I was feeling a little bit lonely. A lot of my friends who were stay at home moms had already sort of started to head back to work. My children are 4 years apart, and most of my friends had kids 2 or 3 years apart. So, I still had a baby at home when a lot of my other friends had like, an elementary aged kiddo and a toddler. So they were all like a little ahead of me. And I was feeling stuck at home with this baby who was not happy and not super enjoyable to be around. And then I also had a lot of guilt. If I'm being completely transparent, I had some guilt about wanting to go back to work because I understand that it's a privilege to be able to stay home with your children and to be their primary caretaker, and what a luxury to be able to spend these years with them. But in the same breath, like I wasn't feeling fulfilled, I wasn't enjoying my time, and I really had an itch to get back into something that was going to be a little bit more fulfilling and challenging for me.
Mm-mm. And what kind of businesses, ideas did you get at that time?
So I really only had two ideas, and the other one is a little silly. I'll share it because I don't know, it's funny. It has nothing to do with anything that I'm good at, but I think around the time when I was just trying to figure out what am I going to do when I go back to work, I was on Instagram, and an influencer that I follow had a spray tanner, like a person come to her house and set up a tent in her garage and give her a spray tan. And I thought like, oh, I could do that. Like, I bet people in Baltimore in the winter would love to have a spray tan. So I was thinking in my head, like, okay, I could buy one of these kits and like set up a tent and either do it in my garage and have people come to me, or I could go to their home and charge more money for that, which is so funny because that is not something that I would ever be passionate about or excited about. It was just something that I saw online and thought, like this requires little to no education or skill, I think, right? Or whatever skill it requires, like I could figure that out on the job, with experience. So that was the other thing that was popping into my head. And then sleep consulting was a really natural fit because I sort of was already doing it, and I was already really good at it, and I was already really passionate about it. And it just really involved me shifting my mindset to realize that like this is something that's worth people paying for, because I was offering this service for free.
That's very interesting. So, how did you switch from offering the service for free to actually charging?
Yeah. So I guess if I look back, the service that I was offering for free looked very different from the service that I offer in exchange for money. When I was helping people for free, it was very informal. I would just get onto a phone call with them if they were interested in chatting about their child's sleep. And I was literally just hearing what they were up against and answering their questions, and then, talking them through the process. And then I would text with them a little bit. Like it was very informal. And now my process is way more intentional. I take all of their intake via an online questionnaire. I have a conversation with them. I write them a written plan that's specifically catered to their exact family circumstances. We get onto another call. We answer all of their questions. I provide text message support. So it's actually an entirely different process now from what I was doing when I was just helping friends, here and there.
Mm-mm. So, at what stage did you realize that this could actually be a business?
Yeah, so I realized it right away. Once I got certified, I'm a go-getter. I'm a little bit of a hustler. I don't do anything small. When I was ready to launch my business, I hired somebody to make a beautiful website for me. I started an Instagram account. I launched to my friends and family and extended network on Facebook, and I put it out into the universe. And I had a whole lot of support from my network. And everybody was really happy for me. Everybody shared my name with their friends and their extended network. I got into some Facebook groups and started helping moms, just, troubleshooting in groups and offering to get on a call with them to help them. And honestly, I think my first month in business, I had like 4 or 5 paying clients. So very quickly, I realized this isn't just some small thing that's no big deal. I knew very quickly that this was going to be potentially a career for me.
So at the beginning, you use your network. That was the first marketing tools you had. When did you start get people outside your network? Do you remember the first person then reached out to you and was not someone in your network?
So my first paying clients, if I remember my first 2 clients, one of them was not at all from my network. It was somebody who I met in a Facebook group. The other person was, I think, somebody local to me who had heard about me from, again, like a Baltimore moms Facebook group, but she wasn't anybody that I knew personally. So yes, I was leveraging my own personal network, but I think those connections were sort of spreading further than my own network. So it wasn't like an immediate, like, friend of friend who was hiring me. It was just, it was people out in the world who I was connecting with, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram or through friends of friends of friends of friends. It was more distant than just like a friend of a friend.
Awesome. So this one was a strong validation for your business.
Yeah. And I knew from the beginning that this was something that families needed. I see this, I've been in business a handful of years now, and there are tired moms literally everywhere. Yeah. I don't have statistics on this, but just from like what I see in chatter, whether it be online or amongst friends, I think more children are not sleeping than sleeping,
Yes.
So everybody knows somebody who has a friend or, a sister-in-law or a cousin who has a kid who doesn't sleep. Literally everybody knows somebody, and they come out of the woodworks. They're literally everywhere. So it really boils down to, like, are these families ready to make a change? Are they willing to seek out this type of support to have the transformation that I think is so important? Not everybody's wanting to make a change. Not everybody's ready to make a change. Not everybody's willing to pay for this type of service. I get all of that, but there's plenty of families out there that need this help and that would benefit from it. So it's just a matter of connecting with those people who value the service that we offer and who are ready to make a change in their home.
Yeah, makes perfectly sense. Could you share an experience with a particularly challenging client?
Yeah, sure. I'm working with one right now, so I'll give you that story. I am working with a family right now where, and I think this is the most common challenge, is when the 2 parents aren't on the same page. So one parent is really committed to making a change to the way that their child sleeps, and the other parent I would describe as the enabler. And so in this situation, I'm working with a little 2.5-year-old who is in a bed. She's not in a crib, so she has the freedom to roam. She can get out of bed. She can come into her parents' bed. And one parent is doing a great job of setting a really firm yet loving boundary with her child. And the other parent is doing the exact opposite. And what's unfortunate about that is it's really not fair to this little 2-year-old who's just trying to figure out, like, what are the rules here? What is the expectation? And so that's really challenging. I think that the key to success is really everybody being on the same page and everybody showing up with the same level of commitment and consistency to the process. And really, especially when you work with toddlers and preschoolers and older children, like, communication is so important, and setting expectations and setting boundaries. And when all of that is in place, it's so easy. And when all of that is not in place, it's really, really hard.
What characteristics make someone the perfect candidate for this type of work?
So I think that it's really important that you be patient and empathetic. Working with families, we see the inner dynamic of these parents' relationships. We see the way that they talk to their children, the way that they talk to each other. Sometimes I feel like an unlicensed marriage counselor, because I'm really trying to help parents get on the same page and support their children in a way that's really different from what they're doing in their home. So I think like patience and empathy are really important. I also think that you have to be passionate about healthy sleep hygiene for children. If it's not something that you see as being important to you, then it's really hard to convey that messaging to parents. And then I think most of us sleep consultants, we do run our own businesses. So I do think that you have to have that drive to work hard, because there's nobody forcing you to do the work. There's nobody forcing you to get out there and connect with people and network and, have conversations that lead to generating more business. And so you have to be a self-starter. You have to be excited about the work. And yeah, I guess those are the most important things.
So now you're training moms to become sleep consultants. What inspired you to grow this business? Because you are quite busy.
Yeah. I think it's two things. One, I just really enjoy business building. Like, I am an entrepreneur at heart, and I like to challenge myself to grow in new ways. So that's probably at the top of the list. The other thing is that it's incredibly rewarding to support families in this way. It's the feeling that you get when you get a text message from mom or dad at 7 o'clock in the morning telling you that their child slept through the night all night for the first time in 3 years. Like that never gets old. So I love growing a business, something that I'm really proud of. And then I also love helping families.
So what advice would you give to moms or stay home, even dad? I mean, parents stay home. Let's generalize, because today we have moms and dads. So for parents stay home, what advice would you give them to monetize their passions or to find something that could become a business?
Yeah. So I think really you have to choose something that you're excited about. Sometimes people ask me, if they're interested in becoming a sleep consultant and they want to know more about the work. Sometimes I'll get asked the question, like, how much do I have to work? How many hours will I have to work? And I always think that when they ask that question, they're not cut out for it, and it doesn't mean that you need to work a million hours. It means that you should want to do this work. It's like, when I think about it, it's like, how many hours do I get to work? How often do I get to work on my business? And if that's not your mindset, then I think it's going to be really challenging for you as an entrepreneur.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, absolutely. So where can our audience learn more about you, your business, and follow your journey?
Okay, so I guess I'll give you a few places, because I'm sort of all over the internet. If you're interested in getting help with sleep in your home, I have a website. It's called Snoozyfest.com, and I'm on Instagram as Snoozyfest by Jayne Havens. If you're interested in becoming a sleep consultant, the two best places to connect with me would be my Facebook group, which is called Becoming a Sleep Consultant, and then I have a podcast with the same name. The podcast is a really great place to hear stories of others who are, who have gone through the program, who have launched their businesses, who are making it happen. And I find it to be really inspiring to hear the stories of others who are doing this work. So it's a great place just to figure out if you think it would be a great fit for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jayne. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.